But are you willing to have an argue about something that you feel strongly about? And it's okay if you say you're not willing to do that. But then what you have to understand that what comes with that, that means that you are allowing people to control your life and dictate the tone, the outcome, and the level of happiness that your life is. And I don't think you want to do that, do you?
I don't. Well, but I'm married, so it's over. So that's
What do you
it.
mean what do you mean it's over? What does that mean?
You did like when you said like to dictate like I have a wife, so what
Okay, all right, but you have a wife.
that's gonna be forever
So have you decided?
unless we divorce.
Well, I mean, I'm not telling somebody to get a divorce, but I'm saying a lot of
Of
times
course, of course.
we pick the people in our lives because they replicate the toxic situations that have happened in our childhoods, and we replicate it over and over again in our adulthood. Do you have children?
Yes, I do. So I have
So,
five babies now.
so are you? And when you say babe, how what's the youngest?
The youngest is 6 months. The
Okay.
oldest is 12.
But is this like something that goes on in your household with your wife now,
Yeah,
where you
it does.
can't? And if you speak up, what is the response when you speak up about something that's important to you?
It's like it's respected, but I get the annoying I get the annoying ad libs in between. Like you respect my notion, my word is respected, but I get the ad libs in between. Oh, I shouldn't get this. Oh, you should get this.
It, what, what, is
That's
it
annoying to
okay?
me.
So let's be honest. Is it accepted or is it not accepted? I mean, if somebody accepts it, they could see your way, and you have to be in a situation where you. I mean, look, if you got 5 kids and you're home and your attitude is it's over. I'm married and it's over, right? I mean,
Yeah,
that says in itself that tells me a lot. It tells me that you're dedicated to this family, you're dedicated to this woman, you're dedicated to her happiness, and all of those things are important. Am I wrong in that assumption?
no, you're not. No, you're
Okay.
not.
So, do you think that's valuable, and do you think that's a valuable thing for a woman to have a man who's dedicated to his family and to her happiness and to the providing of a roof and everything over their head? Do you think those things are important?
Yes, I think those things are very important.
Okay, do you think that those things have value?
Yes,
Do
they
you
do.
think that your wife appreciates all that you do?
She does.
Okay, so then why is she not respecting the fact that you're setting boundaries and speaking up and respecting your boundaries and not just blowing it off and or because when you have somebody and if you say to me, put it like this, if how should I put this? If let's say I'm a contractor and I come in and I want to do your kitchen and I tell you this is what it's going to cost, and then we you say, well, I don't have that much, and we haggle and we come up with a price of whatever $1,000, right? If I'm
Right.
still bitching at you about how you haggled down, right, then I probably shouldn't have made that agreement, right?
Right.
So what I'm saying is, and if you had a contract and we made an agreement, we signed a contract, right? That this is what it is. Then I expect you to, here's an interesting, Mike. Can we do this real quick? Can you look up the word compromise? This is a really good time. I brought this up before on the lives before. I like the definition of compromise. Um,
Yeah.
if you can, Mike, read it out loud when you get it, because I don't think that people understand what it means. You got it, Mike?
Got it right here. A compromise is an agreement or a settlement of a dispute that is reached by each side making concessions.
Okay. So when you hear that, right, that means that we both make concessions. That means I'm not
Yeah.
happy with the decision and neither is she. But we make concessions because we love each other and because we create a family unit that helps our children to feel loved and taken care of and stuff. But neither one of us is 100% happy with it. Compromise doesn't mean that you do what the fuck she wants you to do so she don't bitch at you. And if we
Right.
come to some kind of conclusion, there should be some decorum that we've made this decision, we've made this compromise, and we move on. If somebody's still giving you backlog and talk, it's because they haven't accepted the compromise. And what you ultimately doing is it's a manipulative thing because ultimately what they're trying to do is they're trying to nag you to break your will so that you don't do what you don't have a word, you don't have a say so. And this is
Say
exactly
so.
what's happening to you. And I'm saying that, and I don't know you, but I can read it. You're saying I'm married. It's over. What you're saying is that I have to deal with the pain and the bullshit that somebody wants to give me simply because here's what you're really saying. I have to deal with this because I'm a good husband, I'm a good father, I'm a good provider, I make compromises, but I have to deal with this because she's too selfish or too abusive to recognize that compromise means that neither one of us are happy. And as long as you say this is okay, this behavior is okay, that you make a compromise and she says okay, and then she bitches at you I would imagine she probably brings it up for the whole relationship, because if you allow this behavior to continue, it doesn't stop. There's never a situation where somebody who's being abusive stops being abusive. They don't get tired of being abusive. They just get comfortable with it. And so, as much as you don't want to get into a confrontation, but not understand this, not getting into the confrontation means that you will deal with this kind of abuse for the duration of your life. And then my question to you is, are you okay with being abused for a compromise that you made that you wasn't even really happy? It wasn't all of what you wanted either. But just because you didn't lay down and do everything and just let somebody bend your will, now you have to deal with the abuse of it because somebody's too abusive. And it's not just because they're too abusive. Yes, they are abusive. It's because you don't have the balls to stand up and say this is not okay. You said you have 6 kids, yeah?
No, I have 5 kids.
5
I
kids.
do have the ball to say that it's not okay, but it's just the point of the risk of losing it all. That's
okay,
the biggest
but
thing.
But here's what you have to so because you have a risk of losing it all, you're willing to what you're saying is that you have to do all the things that you are, being a father, being a husband, being compromising, being a provider, and if you say I don't like something, or that as a compromise, then somebody's willing to just take it all away from you.
Right.
Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying. That's
okay.
how
So
I
let me
feel,
ask you this: what kind of life is that? What kind of life is that for you? I mean,
pretty shitty one at this given moment.
Well, this is what I'm saying to you, and so the question is it so shitty that you're willing to keep your mouth shut and just keep putting up with this abuse? Because let me tell you something: it's not going to get better if you don't stand up and say this is inappropriate. And that I'm unhappy. Am I happy? I don't expect, like we said, compromise is where we both give in. But if you're not willing to stand up and say, and it is balls, let's be honest, you don't want to, you are saying, I could lose this, and so I'm willing to put up with whatever abuse that she's willing to dish out as long as I can keep this situation that I'm not happy with in the first place. I mean, isn't that what it is?
That's what it is.
Okay, so you have an unhappy existence in a situation where you're doing all that you can do, right? Doing the best that you could do. And not only that, but if she pointed out there's things that she wanted you to do, you'd probably do those things as well, right?
Yeah.
But then when you need some gas in the tank to keep this train moving, even if she does compromise, then she beats you up and puts your testicles in a ringer. Because how dare you want some kind of relief or some kind of happiness? And here's the thing that's most interesting to me is you think by sticking around in a situation like this, in an abusive situation, that you're doing the kids a favor. And what you don't understand is how many you got five kids. How many boys? How many girls?
2.
Two.
I got. I'm sorry.
2 what?
2 girls and 3 boys.
2 girls, 3 boys. So here's what you're teaching. This is what because your kids they're not, they listen to what you say, but they watch what you do. And you are teaching your boys to get into a relationship and submit to abuse. And you are teaching your girls, and your wife is teaching your girls to be.
No, I'm not crying right now. I'm smoking, actually.
Okay. No, I didn't say you were smoking.
No, I'm reading the comments.
Don't read the comments. Focus on me. Stop listening because they don't know they don't know what I'm saying. I'm giving you the dope, the straight dope. What you're doing is you're teaching these boys not to stand up for themselves because they're going to operate on the foundation and the model that you give them, right? And your wife is teaching your daughters that they're supposed to be unreasonable and disrespectful.
Right, type shit, right.
And
that ain't cool.
But so what you're saying, it's all over. I get it's all over, but this is a conversation that you need to have. You need to have this conversation. If you have a problem getting your weight up so that you could do it, you can consult with me. Go to DanteNero.com. Anybody who go, because I mean, what you're dealing with is something that men deal with across the board plenty of times. Go to DanteNero.com, click on consult. We can talk about it. I'll teach you how to do it, and I'll teach you in a way that's so reasonable, right? That you can say it in so reasonable that it's almost you can't deny what you're asking for. But if it and in a way that's respectful and honest, right? Where you can have this conversation respectfully and honestly in a way that you can have it. And if somebody is unreasonable after you have been respectful and honest, what they're ultimately revealing to you is that they're gonna be effing you for the rest of your life. And not only that, but they're gonna be screwing up your kids because this toxic relationship where one party is abusive and the other party puts up with it, right? Is the relationships that, I mean, can you imagine? I mean, I know you look at your kids and you love your kids. Would you want them to be in a situation like this? Would you want your sons?
Far from it.
But this is what you're teaching them. You understand that, right?
I understand what you're saying.
They are watching you, and they are watching this play out, and you and your wife and your marriage is the depiction of how they will see the interaction between men and women for the rest of their lives, and they will mimic this in their own relationships.
Is this whack that you have to have like more or less your family at stake to the for the situation? Like, I don't want to be in a position where I do love my family, I love my wife as well, but I don't want to be in a situation where I want to just give up on it all.
Okay, I'd ask you this. Let's take this to the schoolyard. You in the schoolyard, we in 6th grade, and I'm the bully, right? And I'm bullying you every day. I'm taking your milk money every day, right? At some point and now you can have a conversation and say, listen, I'm a human being, and I don't think this is fair, right? And if once I go, yeah, I don't care what you think, give me your milk money, right? Then what is your option beyond that?
You either you gonna say no or you gonna hand the bread over.
You gonna hand the bread over or you gonna punch me in my mouth, right?
Yeah.
Now I'm not advocating violence. What I'm saying is, you have to emotionally take a stand. Otherwise, you will be doomed to be in this situation for the rest of your life. Because there's no chance. At no chance will she go, oh, my husband is so great, and I realize what he does, and I haven't been appreciating him, and I need to appreciate him more, and I need to be more empathetic. That doesn't happen. Not unless you're doing. When does the bully say? Because this is what she's doing. She's emotionally bullying you, right? When does
it happens when
stop copping a plea. Stop copping a plea. You get ready to pay her. You get ready to pay her bail money. I'm not. I don't know. I have no dog in this fight. I'm just going by what you said. So before you even start copping a plea and tell me how she ain't that bad, the picture that I'm evaluating is the picture that you painted. And it doesn't matter if it's not all the time. It should be never. Not when you got a black man who's taking care of his kids and loves his wife and providing it. Why should you have to deal with that? And this is not about black woman bashing. This is about abusive people who are allowed to continuously be abusive, and then not getting checked. And you don't want to get checked because you don't want to make no trouble. Your happiness is important. There's no way that you can be a good father and not have some happiness, or where you're literally
Right.
hiding behind the couch because you're afraid stray bullets is gonna fly. How do you provide a masculine male model for your kids if that's what you're doing? You don't have a choice. So if it has to be put on the line, it's got to be put on the line. And if she got 5 kids, if you wasn't in that house picking up the slack, dog, she wouldn't know what to do with 5 kids. I guarantee you, your daughters or your sons, you got some that are favorites that play her like a violin. And if you're not there to stand up and say, listen, respect your mother, do what your mother said, it wouldn't happen.
Well, yeah, you're right.
You go, listen, I don't care what you said. Your mama said, blah, 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 blah. But when you remove that from the relationship, it changed. How old are you?
I'm 36.
And how old's your wife?
31.
Okay, so let me explain something to you. Without you, nobody's trying to hook up with some 31-year-old chick with 5 kids. Nobody's buying that.
Nah.
Nobody's buying a 1983 Corolla with bald tires and dents in the hood with ripped cushions. You understand? With 300,000 miles on it. Nobody's buying it. So what I'm saying is you have to understand what your value is in this. And I don't mean to be harsh about it, but let's be honest. Let's be honest. You are a good thing for this woman, just like she's a good thing for you. And you need to be treated as if that you're important to this union and not disregarded. And it's not, I mean, look, we could talk about your happiness, but what's more important than your happiness is the model that you present to your children, who you will doom them to do the same dumb-ish that you're doing right now. Because the way that your wife approaches this now comes from what she saw in her household.
Right.
And so this is cyclical. This is perpetuated on and on and on and on and on. If we don't do something about that, that's a problem, dog.
And I know you got to, I'm sorry to keep up your time. I appreciate you chopping it up with me. And you know what, I'm going to leave it on this note. I feel like enough times when people go through relationships, people don't sit down and talk about the hurt and the things that they went through before they actually being serious with their partner.
Absolutely.
Going forward, you know, because like I probably didn't really take the time really to sit down and see
course.
her hurts and what she really went
course.
through.
And you also kept leaving it in. You know? You got 5 kids. So this didn't happen.
I'm a sharpshooter, man.
Yeah, this was happening on the first kid, and then you chose to have another one, and it happened on the second kid, and the third kid, and the fourth kid, and this is continue. You got one in 6 months, so you're unhappy in a lot of ways. I'm not saying you're totally unhappy. I'm not saying you don't love your wife, but you're unhappy, and this is and you still leaving it in. Anyway, look, bro, book a consultation. DanteNero.com. Click on consult. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on stuff. You know we go live on Sunday nights at 7, 8:30 usually on Tuesdays. Thank you, man. Thanks for calling in, man. Thanks for being honest.